Whatever you do, just ignore the shirt. These are some of the most underplayed, underrespected cards in Marvel Snap, or they are cards that absolutely need to be fixed. And I think I have a couple of solutions to some of. I told you, don't look at the shirt. There is a unique opportunity here with several cards. So I want to present to you my thoughts, and I know I'm opening myself up to all of the trolls.
You should never cook again. This sucks.
Maybe you'll be respectful, maybe not. Who knows, but we'll find out. I have the Guardians in here because I think there's a really, really cool thing you could do with the Guardians because you have to balance it, but Activate makes the Guardians way better. Right now, all the Guardians are across the board the same thing. If your opponent played a card here this turn, +4 power. Here's my nomination. Take the exact same thing on all of them and make it Activate. Gamora, I would say you have to make her a 5/7. You could go ahead and play all those cards down even, and then turn 6, Activate, 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 Activate. Or you could proactively get ahead of it, knowing that your opponent's going to play in a certain lane and activate to steal priority. There's a couple of different ways you could use your Guardians, but the Guardians are the group of cards, the collection of cards, the franchise that has really never hit well in Marvel Snap, except for Rocket Raccoon, and that's only as of recent. I feel like Gamora has always been, just there and been an okay card. No one plays Drax, no one plays Groot, and Star-Lord you do for achievements as your bounties. That's it. That would be my nomination there. You could even go so far as including Mantis into this list as a 1/2, same ability, make it an Activate card. So you play it down on turn 1 and then wait for when you think your opponent's going to play in that lane, go ahead and activate it later on. Next up, Elektra. We've heard a lot of the make her a 2/2 that destroys 2 costs and da-da-da-da. I've heard this one from several different directions and people, and I even used to think about it that way, but it would be too strong. Let's be honest here. A 2/2 that destroys 2s, it would be way too strong. So I'm gonna spin what she does, aiming to hit 1-cost cards, because thematically that's the case for her. But what if you reworked her instead, a 2/3 that destroys all 1-cost cards in this lane with lower power than this one? Because now you get the double option of, go ahead, it can destroy Nova, it can destroy Muramasa shards, which we'll talk about in a bit. It can destroy ninjas, it can destroy 1-cost cards. It's a defense mechanism against Ultron as long as you throw your priority. So now we have a defense mechanism for that. Or if you really want to, now, spoilers, she has a thematic element and appropriate synergy with Deadpool to give another turn 2 Deadpool destroy option if you don't go down that path. So there's a couple of different ways you could use her, and I think as a 2/3 that destroys 1-cost cards in this lane with lower power than her, it really then makes you watch how you play your own 1-costs, but also defensively get ready for certain other 1-costs as well. Moving down the path though, Loki. This one's not my idea. This comes from Jeff. Straight up, straightforward, and I 100% agree after looking at the data and watching the changes that have happened. Loki should be exactly as he is, as a 2/2 on reveal. Replace cards that started in your deck with cards that started in your opponent's deck. The synergy between Loki and Arishem is one of the biggest contributors to Arishem decks being so strong. And if you don't believe me, go to your favorite tracker, any site, including this one, Untapped, links down below, and see that Loki with Arishem is very different than Loki by itself than Arishem by itself. Loki Arishem is a problem combo because it's just not a fun deck to play against, and that needs to be taken more into consideration than the data. Crystal and Adam Warlock, the card draw cards, they're just awful. We've decided to make her a 2/6. Hear me out. Don't freak out yet. A 2/6, draw a card, give your opponent +2 energy next turn. So now you've got a couple of different ways that you can mess with it. You can, on one end, go ahead and play it on turn 6 like you would Maximus for a Ronin deck. So it's just a solid 2/6. Or you play it early with understanding that there is a downside. We looked at her older versions, which was the 4/4 that shuffled cards back in and you drew 3 new cards. Then we look at 3/3, which is a positive and a benefit because it's been made abundantly clear from the communication from the devs that drawing a card is an incredibly strong mechanic. So there has to be a downside. As a 2/6, you're now looking at priority, but you are able to throw that out there by saying, look, next turn, your opponent has 6 energy on turn 4 if you play it on turn 3. That's a big deal playing 5 energy early. Think about your Elysium matches when you play down those cards on turn 3 and turn 4. That's enough of a downside to justify getting your combos to happen. I think that's a fair, even exchange. What do you think? You guys let me know. Fastos is a very weird case because he's a great idea, but he always feels late. My nomination for Fastos is make him a 2-1, because now you look at him kind of like Forge, but with a chance, and then you get 4 draws of the effect. At 3-3 with 3 draws of the effect, it doesn't feel like it justifies itself often enough because of the chance of maybe getting it or not. At a 2-1, you have the downside of, you know, playing him for only 1 power, but now you've got 4 opportunities to get reductions or add-ons, and I think that balances him out to make him a more consistent play on turn 2, kind of like Pixie in that aspect. We thought Fastos Surfer was the answer for him. It absolutely is not. Dakin, one of 2 things needs to change. Either A, he becomes a 3-5, or B, the Muramasa Shard has to be a 0 cost. Because to get him to 3-8 means it's actually 4-8, and that's not good enough to make him plop into many decks. Sure, there's the one really, really bizarre combo deck that's out there with Arnim Zola and Modok and all this stuff. That does exist, but that's such an edge case that doing that to that deck does not change the success rate of that deck. It only will reinforce other decks that want to run Dakin to potentially run Dakin. And then there's Kang. There's no good horizon for Kang, let's be honest here. I have nothing good to say about this card. So he's supposed to be a time manipulator. I'm still on the boat of making him a 2-0. Skip the next turn. You cannot play this card later than turn 4. That way you can't skip to the very end on turn 5 and, oh, look, the game is over. Ta-da! Like, no, that's not cool, because then you go from 4 to maybe 6. Kang needs to be addressed in multiple ways, but he needs to be addressed. Last up is Adam Warlock. I don't know about you, but I miss 2-0 Adam Warlock. I think 2-0 Adam Warlock was good. He still was bad, but he was better than this hot piece of trash at 5-5. We want this ability to be good. We want the ability to draw cards if we're winning a lane. So what if you made him a 3-1? I used to say 2-1, and that's a little too powerful. If you make him a 3-1, it's still that similar idea. He then fits into Surfer decks since we took away Crystal from those Surfer decks. And if you play him in a lane all by himself by turn 3, I think you earned your draw. There are so many cards that need to be addressed, but I want to put this out there into the world way before an OTA. And I invite chaos into the comments below. Like it, dislike it, your recommendations. What do you want to see? What changes need to be made, etc. The only thing I ask is that you hit like and subscribe. And that's it. Oh, and maybe be nice. Maybe. By the way, have you seen that video?